Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And we're back once again. It's a Tuesday. It's a new rotation here at Unified Premiere. Sticula won't be joining me. It's going to be Infernosis, the king of the United States. My friend, welcome.
Welcome. You struck a little bit on that one, and you mentioned Sticula, so I feel like I've got big shoes to fill in the process. But excited to be here. Obviously, UPL being back in session's a dream come true. Proud to be back on here tonight and tomorrow as well. But who better to start off my first season, or sorry, my second season back with UPL with Chief himself. But we've got ourselves two teams. One of them with a bit more past and history behind them, but both of them have to face off today in a bit of a stringent matchup. It's going to be that Windstorm side versus Neve? So like
Neve?
Neve, there we go. I have spelled it 6 different ways in my notes, and I still can't get it right, Chief. I had no idea what's going on here.
I think I've seen this roster a million times in qualifiers, and emphasis on the word qualifiers there. And going over to our rosters today, Windstorm, they have two former Canadian Pro League players. That's going to be Gunny and Yosis. And then you also have an OCG player, and that's going to be Phoenix. That is an incredibly powerful roster. Honestly, the Windstorm roster alone, the experience they have is going to be something that Neve might not have ever seen.
It's going to be interesting to see for the Neve side. They obviously have themselves some gunners. You can see in the side Taco, Tokens, Kana, who's also known as Kanakuno, Lunar, and then Puki. That's Pucky or Puki. We're not exactly sure just yet. We're going to go with something along the sorts. Apologize if we jump back and forth with it. But like you said, they're facing off against a very competent Windstorm side. This may be one of those matches that we can see really what they're, what type of chutzpah they have. See if they've got them something behind them, confidence for Neve to see if they can try to make the return. But Windstorm are probably going to be your victors, but I really want to see this one go for a long time, mostly because I want Chief to suffer for as long as possible here with me.
Of course, Scott, you love me suffering. What a better combination than you wishing my downfall, my perpetual downfall. And apparently you prayed to Lord Tachanka because as we pull up our map bans, you have again prayed for my downfall because we're going to the worst map to have entered into the competitive pool. It's called Oregon for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. There it is, this best of one series. It's gonna be Oregon. FML.
Chief, this literally has been nothing but the best for me. First off, Neve starting off strong, banning off Cafe, and Windstorm bans off Chalet, which sucks. I hate the fact that Chalet gets banned now, but at the same time, I am glad that you do have to suffer through Oregon. Personally, I don't find Oregon to be that boring. I think there's enough back and forth action between it to keep things spicy. Maybe if you didn't cast in every single T4 league in human history, Chief, you wouldn't have to deal with it so often. But for now, you'll have to deal with it here at UPL to see how these two teams face off. But the ban phase will go underway, and as we've seen from our great friend Fellow's tier list that he's been making, the likely ban choices probably going to be your Thatcher, maybe a Maverick, a Kaid possibly in the mix. Habana could be brought forward, and then probably a Mira as well to follow suit.
I'm going to lean towards Flores as the secondary attacker, but Flores
It
is
is
incredibly
Windstorm, yeah.
powerful on this map. I mean, if you're running deployable shield meta, who's going to be best at breaking it down? Well, Flores, because those RCX, the explosive drones, if there's utility ADSs with my pancakes, all of a sudden, well, they're just irrelevant. But there's Maverick, and for good reason, because if you want style of attack, opening up North Attic with that Maverick is no longer an option.
When you take out Maverick, you're kind of forcing your own hand, especially if you pick second ban to take out Kaid, because he's a little bit too strong when you don't have a Maverick to try and counteract it, and Windstorm's just going to go, hey, we're going to take both out really quick. You can kind of mind game it a little bit if you're first ban to go ahead and ban him out instead of Thatcher, but you also do leave up the fear factor of him not banning Thatcher just to mess with you, but ultimately, the last ban to go through, more than likely Amira. Valkyrie is sometime occasionally banned. She will be actually banned here. So Mira will be able to be played. That's going to be very important when it comes down to your supply closet hold on basement side. You're going to have to be very dangerous on the second floor objectives. Sorry, the first floor objectives when you deal with meeting hall as well as kitchen. Be extremely strong when it comes to those directions. She may have a little bit less versatility on this map than maybe others, but she's still extremely strong with her ability to cut off sight lines and make it a little bit more dangerous for an attacking team to advance into an objective.
Yesterday, we actually saw a different bomb site rotation where we were seeing basement, meeting, and then upstairs to dorms. They will not be electing to do so. Instead, it's going to be a little bit more traditional for them, and the traditional will continue as the pulse is removed in the 6 pick in favor of a Goya. 3 deployable shields, Scott. That's going to be the pitch of play. And that is a lot of utility, a lot of fixed positions. And this whole bomb site is going to have multiple apexes now, where the defenders are going to be sitting very comfortably behind their deployable shields. Now, no Womai in play, so that's going to leave those shields a little bit more vulnerable. But since you do have 2 other catcher operators in play, the ADSs and the Aruni gates are still going to be big factors.
I don't see Flores here, Chief.
Nor do I.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure why we don't see Flores here. Flores is extremely strong, especially when you are aware that a Vulcan shield-wielding Goyo has been picked up. It's basically a guarantee at any point that it's going to go. I do think it's a bit of a misplay to not bring the Flores. It can be, in some strategies, okay to not do so if you're bringing a lot of nades that can get rid of some of the shields. If you've maybe bring in Ayana, she's got the gun 6 in the secondary, but you also have to be able to pump in dump to get rid of those ADSs and Moai magnets if they're available. And they brought some flashes to do so. Gunny and Shira are the 2 players, or sorry, Prim will say, the 2 players to bring that forward and actually work with it. And they need to be very wary of their own lives in the process, because if they lose their lives, then you're kind of forcing Twist with the lifeline for Zofia to expend some of their impacts in Concussive Blast to get rid of the ADSs. And while it works if you want to stop them from hard breach denying, like a mute jammer on that closet wall from below, you need that utility to last as long as possible. It's better to burn those flashes and get the job done than anywhere else. But first pick will go through. Neve, Fleek finds the kill into Prim as they attempted to step forward. That's going to spell disaster. You've lost your hard breach towards that hard wall for walk-in closets. May have gained a little bit of sightlines towards Trophy, but you don't really have any sort of entry just yet.
Fleek is the substitute for Neve, and moments before broadcast, we got the official update that they were going to be playing today, and that was a big concern of mine because we just don't know what substitutes are going to contribute to a roster. A substitute may not know the strats. Now, to be fair, all substitutes should be present for scrims and dry runs are on the same page when this exact scenario comes forward. That was a beautiful shot, and now Windstorm on the back foot have to find something this round. They do have full control of Trophy. They've been able to deal with the Aruni gates and deployable shields relatively swiftly, but they've still yet to open up South games. And in fact, this is a linear push. Look at the control Windstorm has. They have very little area underneath their thumb. It's just one room. They need to start to do more, or the substitute will continue to slam.
Fleek's being a little bit too much to deal with. The 416C may be a bit strong to contend with, but Twist going to come up from White Steps looking for an option, but no one's really giving him space just yet until one will step into his loving arms, and unfortunately, Phoenix will step into the loving arms of Pukey. Twist finds their second now. Player Fleek has been downed, not able to deal as much damage, and unfortunately for this player of Twist, Luna's been sitting inside games, not getting the job done. It's Neve to find round win as Pukey finishes us off strong. Neve were able to cap off Windstorm in pretty quick succession once they initially started to rush into the site and were kind of forced to play that staggered rush. They didn't really have the ability to intro anymore from that walk-in closet side. They had to step in from Trophy, and that completely cut off most of their sightlines that they should have been able to gather with the Hibana, and it's all because you didn't keep Prim alive long enough. And I know you liked to call this before a couple months ago. You called it the apex positioning as you put a shield down in Trophy, or Deer, some people call it, and you hold that angle towards Master Bedroom. That is a very cheeky angle to hold, and it worked out wonders for Fleek in the Neve side. If they pull that off again when they're able to go back to it, then Windstorm's going to have their money cut out for them if they want to get the job done.
Scott, I race cars. Do you expect me not to use the word apex like it's been ingrained into my mind? I could use more complicated jargon. I could call it a clipping point if you want.
I mean, I do blood spatter analysis, and we have an apex, and then we have a tail for blood stance. So
a what?
You know, an apex and a tail for blood stance.
What's a blood stance?
Blood stain.
What's a... Oh, yeah, because
blood?
You're basically Dexter, including the serial killer.
Blood spatter,
right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I'm glad to know that you've now just admitted to doing that. Thank you for contributing. And I was also going to contribute some more things. I mean, when you have a deployable shield, right? Why are you pushing in front of the deployable, Scott? Why aren't you, I don't know, trying to go from behind? I mean, that shield can be flash dumped from the north-facing window of armor. pretty easily. Now, to be fair, very few teams are going to do that because it is more or less easy to flash from above, but you just have to be wary of getting slammed from the shield. It just comes down to how cautious you want to be as a roster. Now, we mentioned the bomb site rotation has changed. We've been starting to see teams prioritize meeting as their secondary bomb site. We saw that yesterday, and we're going to see it again today. So Windstorm, once again, fast map control, but they don't really have a lot of map control. They're going for another linear take, but one thing that I like about their attacking execute, Scott, is the fact that they're putting so much emphasis downstairs in the basement. Why, you may ask? Because there could be a nitrocell denial. Very often do we see a mute with a nitrocell in basement, and they yeet that nitrocell up towards stage.
With hatch being open as well, allows you to toss up some util like the nades we've seen. They'll do just that, try to get rid of that mute jammer that was stopping the wall from being breached. We'll gain them a little bit of access if they want to try to breach in from rear stage, and they'll do just that. Getting themselves a sightline and themselves a opportunity to peek through a smaller hole to keep their opposition at bay for just a little bit longer. Taco sitting up in drop of Attic. He's got the long shot angle. The shield will protect him with due diligence, but he is going to be droned out. The information will be favoring Windstorm's side, and they've done a much better job this time around keeping themselves alive. And with the fact that they're rocking a single hard breacher setup, was something that really, I guess, bit them in the rear last round, as they didn't really have the secondary angle of pushing through Attic this time around, but they were able to keep him alive, rotate in multiple directions, get a couple holes open, and they've essentially accomplished what they were looking to do. They'll start things off even stronger with the first pick as Phoenix takes out Taco.
This is a spread out offense, and Neve doesn't seem to know exactly where Windstorm is playing for good reason. I mean, look at the control they have. Windstorm has multiple positions that they can push, whether or not it's from split, whether or not it's from North Tower, and with Neve players starting to fall, they're losing coverage. It's going to be on Jaeger, Fleek, to make a play up above on that hatch, but he will be unable to do so since the former NACL player of OCE is isolated over by North Tower on the long angle from those X-Pyro pellets. There is still information on the bomb side, and that's going to be critical for the defense. They'll be able to see when that plant goes down, but it doesn't matter when the entire roster is dead.
Windstorm did a much better job of taking complete and utter control of not just the floors at which they wanted to push through initially, like we saw for Tower and Rear Stage, but the entire map as a whole. Like we said, they cleared through basement. You really liked what you saw from them initially, and they didn't just take it to a simple level of taking control of basement. They spread themselves out everywhere. They had control of Z Hall. They had control of main entrance to meeting. They had control of essentially anything that you could think of to give them a crossfire, to give them the denial for those players to step away. You saw your Maestro just spray and pray down that alley towards Green Hall and trying to escape. And there's a player behind him next to Kitchen ready to take the shot and disallowing him from being, I guess, any pivotal source during that round. And your player that peeks through that, I believe it was your Sledge man of Phoenix, they knew they don't have to peek that. They knew they didn't have to continue to push. He's going to walk into your teammates' loving arms, and that's how taking complete and utter control, essentially deadlocking the opposition into your favor, just completely spreads out and denies any chance of them to find success. And they did that in a flawless fashion. Windstorm with the most dominant round we've seen so far, and it's tied 1-1.
Scott, what are you making of rosters going to meeting constantly now as their secondary bomb site? I like meeting, but do I like it more than basement? Probably not. In all honesty, I'm starting to have a sour taste with dorms. Dorms is this bomb site that used to be so good, and now we're seeing teams on the offense start to perfect it. But again, going back to my question, what do you make of meeting?
Personally, I favor dining in kitchen more than meeting. What?
In North America, meeting has a higher play rate than dining, but in Europe, it's the other way around.
Yeah. See, I just favor dining because I like the play of a Maestro just locking in showers and holding down the site very well. I like the one-man army kind of idea there. But I do think meeting is a stronger site choice, and I think that with the way that, like you said, second floor has been, I do think second floor should start to become that tertiary pick, and maybe meeting will be picked up instead, because you essentially still have to defend second floor if you're going to hold meeting, right? You still have to gain control of that second floor, so there's really no difference. Why defend it twice in a row, essentially, when you can just do it once, and then go to the basement and deal with that side instead? In my personal opinion, I think it's probably a smart idea to start picking that one up. I prefer basement over second floor, like you kind of said too. Second floor is just starting to go more and more towards the attackers. They have tons of options towards big window, attic drops, rushing through trophy, master bedroom through that closet wall to games. There's too many variables for them, and every other site just tends to work a little bit better for the defense.
Bomb sites with second floors, CCTV on Clubhouse is also
Essentially,
kind
yeah.
of in the same place, because if the attackers can execute without taking map control, which means the external portions of the map, it becomes very difficult. Baseball, on the other hand, look at how much Windstorm has had to do to be able to get to this point, and it's incredible. We're not even at the halfway mark yet, Scott, and Windstorm is already on the threshold of the bomb site. They're still about 30 minutes or 30 seconds away from going for the execute. They still have to start to clear out some of these defenders and freezer, but they're not far from doing so. We're probably going to see another stun grenade go out and potentially a nade. Now, Ayana has already used her nade, so that means Sledge is going to have to make the rotation on over, and Sledge is starting to push through Laundry, so that style of play won't be viable. And in fact, a Neve player is getting aggressive. That was North Stairs Taco, and they were just felled. That's going to create a new pressure point that Windstorm can capitalize on.
Kana will find a kill towards your player Phoenix, attempting to step down from Laundry Stairs, but it's Blue in the feed, and if he's finding themselves kills after kills, Kana picks up a second. Pukey finds one of their own. It's just Prim and Twist, the last two standing for the side of Windstorm, and they're going to have a lot to contend with towards this side, as Prim sitting inside of Freezer, and Twist is attempting to step down from Laundry Stairs, but he's taken out in quick succession by Kana, who has been on a bit of a rampage in this round so far. Now Prim's going to have to figure out what sort of strategy can they bring forward to step out from this Freezer side. Khan had tossed a Nitro and failed to do so, but we'll pick it back up and re-toss to you look for an option, but it's not going to matter for much longer. Lunar near Pillar finds themselves the opportunity for the kill as they peek towards Freezer door. We'll cap off that round in a defensive round win.
We're seeing attackers deviate away from the basement execute, where you push in through the bunker, through Blue, and through J. We're seeing teams prioritize Freezer, and it's starting to baffle me why teams want to do this, because Freezer is just this fatal funnel, and if you're unable to push out Jaeger Fleek in this case, I mean, your offense completely and utterly stalls. It requires frame perfect nades, and in round number 3, those nades never actually found their target. We need to see teams realize that if Freezer does not work for them early on, they cannot commit to that play. They have to make an adaptation very early, and that means a rotation to the North Stairs. Twist on Windstorm did do that. They found the kill on Taco, and then he was recalled back to Freezer because members of Windstorm were dying. Imagine a world where we see Twist continue down the North Stairs. That is a crossfire that Neve would have to have dealt with because all the barrels were stuck over in Freezer.
Now, Chief, you brought forward a question earlier. I want to bring it forward here as well. You said that a lot of teams, and I agree, are switching away from our try and true blue bunker rush to take control of Pillar and then to take onto the basement side. I'm of the opinion that you still need some semblance of control towards Pillar. It allows for a little bit too many crossfires if for a defensive side, and if you utilize it yourself and are able to take control, then you also will gain the ability to use those crossfires. It gives you a bit of a safety net to step out from Freezer, disallowing any chance for them to peek you from that side, like that last kill we saw at the end of the round to finish things off. I think Pillar control is still very pivotal. I don't think you necessarily need to take full control of Blue Bunker. You just need to watch the door, and you can essentially send a one-man army kind of operator to take control of that section, but you have to put a lot of trust, a lot of faith in them to do so. That's where the initial problem kind of lies. Who do you send? Why do you send them? And if that fails, then you're probably in a worse situation than you would have been without it otherwise. But Fleek is a monster when it comes to holding through Trophy. We'll find not just the first kill in round 1, but the first kill here again in round 4, taking off, thankfully, not the Hard Breacher, but still Twist, one of the most important players on the side of Windstorm.
Fleek has only found kills behind this deployable shield. Again, Fleek is the substitute, and they're performing incredibly right now. Honestly, very rarely are you going to see a substitute be able to step on forward and be so impactful. You can see the new mute jammer change, so the mute jammer is no longer a circle, it's going to be a cylinder, and that means you can hard breach the top portion of that wall. That's why we saw the double Soma charges be committed. That's actually very smart play from Windstorm. A lot of rosters just see the mute jam, and they're like, all right, well, we're not pushing this anymore, and then they just kind of go to the other side of the map. That is extreme fundamental understanding from Windstorm. They still have that man disadvantage, though, Scott, and that's something that has to be overcome relatively soon, because the attackers have done their hard breaching. Now they just have to start to win their gunfights. And speak of the devil, Phoenix has found their kill.
Phoenix, unfortunately, quickly after will be downed. Not finished off just yet. A good possibility picked up, and they'll do so quite swiftly. Get them up, back into the count. See, will be able to find themselves a kill. They'll take out Taco, and a second one to follow suit from Prim. It's a 2v4. Neve's in a bad position. It's just Pukey and Lunar left standing. Phoenix on the flank through white stairs, and unfortunately for Lunar, not paying attention enough. This EO taken in quick succession. It's going to be Pukey who finds it. He's going to deny the plant, though, as the plant's going down. It's Prim looking to finish this one off and begin the end game, so to say, but will be fortunately able to get it down, but taking a lot of damage in the process. Phoenix peeks in from white stairs, finds the rear of his opposition. Will finish things off quite strong. Windstorm will find themselves an attacking round win.
Wow. That was an excellent round, and even after Fleek found that opening kill behind that deployable shield, it just didn't matter for Neve because they have a full on-site pressure. Dorms, again, like the analogy made earlier, like Cash CCTV on Clubhouse, you cannot be fully in your bomb site. If you have 5 players in the bomb site in the single buff room that you have in Trophy, the offense will get the control, and then once they have that control, that bomb site is impossible to defend. There was actually a roamer in play. They attempted to send the Nitro Cell through Meeting Hatch, and it just never found its target. And that was a missed opportunity from Neve. And we're just seeing them react to what Windstorm's doing. They're not predicting. They're not creating a strategy to deny. They're just knee-jerk reacting, and at that point, it's just too late.
The fact that they're able to find round wins with a knee-jerk reaction, though, fairly impressive here, Chief, right? If they're failing to adapt, which is the game of R6, I mention this all the time, the team that's more than likely going to win is the team that can adapt faster. Because both teams should be able to adapt to the point in time, but if you adapt to somebody else's adaptation, you got to be able to do it faster than they can do so. That's how you're going to find yourself round wins on top of your opposition. It's that way in basically any tactical game whatsoever, whether you're talking about CSGO, Valorant, probably even League of Legends. I don't know that game, so who really knows in general?
I don't know that game either. Hyper does.
Hey, Hyper does. Yeah, a lot of people here at UPL do. Yeah,
I'm too dumb to understand that game. My 3 brain cells, I just see a bunch of colors on screen. I couldn't even articulate. There's not, like, my English language understanding could not translate what I'm seeing in a league match.
See, you're just seeing colors, but I'm colorblind, so I don't even get to see that option. I understand MOBAs because I have 2,000 plus hours in a bunch of different MOBAs.
Nerd.
Yeah, big nerd. But I don't understand League. I just can't do it. There's like 600 champions, and I just don't know who's who. I don't know how you do those interactions.
Is it Dota and League the same thing?
They're basically the same thing.
They're not,
but they are. They're both over the map, MOBAs. But no, I do like Smites. That's like a third-person one.
That's
much
a MOBA?
less options. Yeah, it is a MOBA. Yeah, it's just a third-person.
That was like a World of Warcraft.
No, Smite is a MOBA. Yeah.
Huh, the more you know.
Yeah. I understand how MOBAs work. Yeah.
Did you know there's a death in this lobby?
There's a death? Really?
There's a death. Yeah.
Something's happened while we've been ranting about League. Oh, it's a hard breacher too. Windstorm.
There's a hard breacher dead on dorms? Not again, Windstorm. We can't allow this to happen at all. But at least you have another hard breacher. So not all hope is lost, but if Windstorm wants to go for the same style of play where they open up both sides of the map, south and north, that's no longer really an option. I guess you can stretch 6 Cairo pellets. What you can do is a 2x2 configuration, and then you can do a 1x2 configuration. You can kind of shimmy your way on forward, but it's just hard to do right. And so far, the offense for Windstorm, it's just not going their direction at all, Scott.
Yeah, especially when they talk about Phoenix, who, well, they inevitably lose their life initially to that walkthrough. They had another player taking the flank. That was Taco. They were just stuck between a rock and a hard place, and unfortunately, the rock was a little bit too much to deal with. Maybe a little bit more like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, a little less like a pebble, but Gunny's going to find the second. That's going to even things out for Windstorm. It's a 2v2, but with only a minute remaining, I was going to start feeling a little bit constrained about what they can, I guess, realistically put forward in terms of their attack. Prim and Gunny both going to step up through Master Bedroom. Looks to be control of Trophy will be gathered, but ADSs can still be able to dish out a little bit of damage to make it a little bit harder for them to toss anything else going forward. They'll get rid of the ADS, burn it for a momentary lapse. As Taco sees a shoulder of one, but it'll be Pukey who finds the first. He'll find the second in a very nice succession of kills towards the end, and a very nice round victory as well for the side of Neve.
Second time we've seen the exact same Crossfire and Dorm secure the round for Neve. Honestly, I love the way that they're playing. we've seen moments of brilliance and then mistakes, but when they have full map pressure, where they're actually roaming it and forcing Windstorm to drone and deal with the roamers, Na'Vi wins rounds. An excellent example in round number 5. But honestly, Windstorm, this is really one of their first debuts. This is one of their first outings. We mentioned that they have CACL experience, or pardon me, CAPL experience with Altiora Stage 1. That's going to be Mizo, the primary support, as well as Gunny. And then you also have OCG and ACL experience with Phoenix. So you have a lot of experience on this roster, a lot of high level experience on this roster. It just takes some time for players of this caliber to synchronize well with each other because they've been playing, dry running, and scrimming with their teams. When the teams disband, when players start to get moved around, the mentality that you have with your old comrades, things just start to change, and you have to now reapply yourself to the new mentality of your new team.
Dangerous spot now for Windstorm, though. It is the last round of the half, Chief, so they're in a position where they can, unfortunately be felled in the half, making it 4-2. I mean, they are attacking, so you could technically say they're on the unfavored side, but they have been fairly strong, and I guess most specifically, it's going to be Fleek that's been extremely strong when it comes to the second floor. Very pivotal in their attempts. Last round, not so much. Wasn't really a necessity to get the job done, but they've been very even. It's been able to bring together a strong sense of coordination from them, but this time around, we're heading back to the basement, and Windstorm looked the worst we've seen them, I believe, last time we saw this. They attempted to go through Freezer. They tried to make that rotation through Laundry Stairs. A long shot with an SMG-11 had found their first target, and a second one as they were tossed once again, and then a third player attempted to push forward, and they just brought out the Mossberg to clean him up in the hands of Kana. There was too much that Neve brought to the table to deny that attack from that double direction. I think it is the smarter decision to come from rear stage and take control of Pillow this time around, and Windstorm seem to be agreeing with me. They're coming in quite strong from this northern edge.
But if they all 5 push from North Stairs, it's the same problem they had in Freezer. It's just a different part of the map. The problem with Freezer, it's a fatal funnel. If you're going down the North Stairs, it's also a fatal funnel. I mean, you have a stairwell. That's the only bit of cover, and that's just not enough cover. Here's the adaptation that we need. The rotation into bunker. And now once you start to apply J pressure, all of a sudden, you now have the crossfires needed. You can start to force the defense away from Pillar, and you also have to force Lunar away from J bunker. A bait and switch, though, for that support player as they tease the reinforced wall, making the audio cue, but Windstorm does not seem to be the wiser. In fact, they commit a nade to that, so bait from Lunar did not end up working. An unfortunate mistake, though. The opening kill is Phoenix, who finds an incredible headshot in his teammate and an even better one on a Taco.
Well, if you get the job done, you get the job done here, Chief. It doesn't matter the consequences of your actions. Well, it doesn't seem to matter much more. Just to be taken out. Another loss here for Windstorm. It's Kana who actually finds themselves their kill. It's a 4v3. A minute does remain. Windstorm still has plenty of time to take this one slow and figure out what's going to necessarily work out for them. Gunny will drop their E-Box. Needs to be very wary, but he'll find their first pick after that inevitable loss of their first 2. It'll be Pukey who's taken out. Kana's going to be able to clear wall leading towards Laundry. Trying to give himself a better sight line for that long distance, but there's one player near Freezer door. Phoenix, seemingly aware, will have to relay that information to his team. The opposition of A's not peeking any direction. They're going to force Windstorm to push forward and inevitably fall into their loving arms, maybe their grasp in the funnel that they've attempted to set forward, but Friends looking to get some hard breaches off, gain themselves some sightlines in different directions, maybe catch something off guard that Neve's not necessarily looking forward to, but Phoenix is watching his teammates back. They faked the plant, Lunar will be down, and Phoenix is on a rampage. Now a 3K to his name, he's looking to make it a 4th. It's just Fleek left standing. He'll take out Gunny, who's been downed but not finished off. He'll get a little bit off to Phoenix, but not able to finish the kill just yet. Phoenix knows he can just buy his time. Doesn't need to necessarily peek, as he can just watch from multiple angles and will indeed find the last Windstorm come back from almost a devastating start to finish it off strong and win the round.
So are we calling that a Phoenix ace because he found 4 members of the V and a member of Windstorm?
Yeah, sure. If it helps his ego.
I don't think he needs to have an ego at all. Again, a former NACL player. So he is just here really flexing his gunplay. And a 3-3 half for Windstorm is exactly where they need to be. Valiant defense from Neve. Honestly, They had great team play. They have great use of deployable shields and utility, but where they're losing these rounds is through gunfights. They also are winning rounds through gunfights, but it's on the back of individual players. That's the thing with Neve, is it's one player finding two incredibly important kills, and then that player goes silent in latter parts of the round. And that is just not a strategy that you can have. I mean, members of Windstorm are making mistakes. They're putting themselves in bad positions, but everybody in that roster has been able to show that they can click heads pretty evenly for the most part. Now, sure, the support players aren't carrying as much weight, but to be fair, they're the ones that are providing information to Phoenix to be able to swing and take these incredible gunfights.
With a tied half here, Chief, 3-3, Windstorm now gets to, I guess, be the pacemaker on the defense. Is it just a strong half for them to take a tied half in a defensive advantageous map or game? Or did Neve unfortunately just give away one round too many? It's necessarily time will tell. We'll have to see how Neve necessarily fares on the attack. They're rocking double hard breach for this floor, but Windstorm are opting to go for a breach to half open, half locked in wall for that games room side. And that's going to make it fairly interesting for them. They could technically reinforce on a moment's notice if they felt it to be necessary, but it's a little bit more dangerous to do so than you would expect. Talking about bunker wall is where you typically see that go through in the basement side, but they're still going to lock up with a fairly strong strategy. One player in trophy. They're not actually putting a shield in that apex position like we've talked about previously. It's a little bit more to the side, bit of an offshoot angle, and I think that's going to be what really catches off the side of Neve off guard. But they're going to go for a big window-oriented side, keep the pressure on Windstorm early. It may just work out for them if Windstorm aren't paying attention to that angle.
I think Taco needs an invite to the Red Dot King because he's running a Red Dot right now. The best and only optic that you should ever be using in Rainbow Six Siege. It is
1.5.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that one. But he doesn't have access to the 1.5 times site.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he did at one point,
game.
But unfortunately, Ubi has decided to remove ranged optics from Ion, which, to be fair, the 2-time sight of the G36 was incredibly broken. Like, it was really, really good, and I see why it was removed, because she was way too OP with it. Wow, brilliant nade. Gunny goes DBNO. Now, Taco's attempting to find the feet. Now, fun fact for you, when you have a red dot, allows you to see through walls and find nades like that. So free kill for Neve, finished off by Yuki, who seems to be taking a lot of map control. Neve, they're knocking down Windstorm, the tornado in the background starting to remove players. It is not looking good for a Windstorm victory here in round 7.
Neve is just a dark horse, right? They're kind of the underdogs in this situation, but they're really trying to show everyone that we're not. How the hell did Prim not see that player? Is this a difference of FOV? Is he not paying attention? I mean, they walked right in. They're not the one who necessarily found the kill, but they are the one who dealt 90% of the damage as the Orianna stepped straight through to Kid's room door. Still, an insanely strong start from them. A flawless round, and Windstorm are going to have to look that one back and figure out what went wrong. And it was a lot. That first nade for the down but not out, the flank that came through that they weren't paying attention to, even on their own defensive stance. Too much to deal with, and they failed on their own roam game. They've got to have to look at this different. They're going to jump over to the basement side, turtle up a little bit, maybe not have to worry about their own roam game, because Neve had their number when it came to it.
It's a bad day when you're a defender and you're flanking, and then you get flanked. It's a counter flank. You just never want to be in that position. Now, Windstorm, having lost the ball on their roam, seems to be electing for another roam. Mozzie and a visual in play. Now, I'm okay with that lineup, because in basement, if you sit on site, you lose as a defender. You just can't have a 5-man sit down in your lawn chair and your comfy couch and just vibe. That's just not an option. So hopefully this more aggressive style lineup is going to provide exactly that. If Windstorm is able to play this more calculated, where they're applying pressure on their roam throughout their hold, whether or not it's north tower, small tower, and they're playing together as a team, that's probably the most crucial part. This roam can be very powerful.
The roam game is fairly pivotal when it comes to most of the objectives that aren't basement, right? I mean, if you're not bringing the roam on the meeting hall and kitchen site, then you're really not setting yourself up for success. Because you can turtle on the second floor, but that turtler also needs to be able to be given access to rotate away, whether that be through hatch inside kids' room, or whether you have to be forced to drop down hatch inside attic if it some reason comes down to it. There's a lot of variables in play, but the roaming is necessary, especially towards that Z hall, towards green hall for kitchen. There's a lot of small angles and acute positions you can go through. And unfortunately for Windstorm, this one's going to be a little bit more dangerous for them to roam on. They are doing 2 players off initially, and they're holding close to rear stage. They're going to be able to drop quickly if the time does come down to it, which will give them the option to make that getaway. But they also have a player in green hall. It's Twist. Phoenix finds the first kill onto Lunar, not allowing them to step away to any level of safety, and Fleek is still very aware that there may be a player in meeting. That is true, as Twist going to make the rotation away, probably towards laundry steps, or maybe over towards security to watch that freezer side.
The first minute of play, 60% of the drone economy was lost by Neve. That is just not a comfortable place to be in. At least now in modern days, you have Iana holograms to gather more information. But still, when those get reset and you have to wait 12 seconds to grab more information, I mean, that starts to become costly. But to be fair, Neve has dealt with all the roams. So all they need to do now is gather information on the site. But again, if you don't really have drones, it's going to be very difficult to be able to do so. Push down freezer stairs, and here comes that nade royale, where you just have to launch nades downrange and hope Jaeger's still in that position. Mizo, on the other hand, though, has been falling away every single time that pin has been pulled, and that's going to be another position that Neve has to deal with.
It's dangerous to push down the freezer side here, Chief, but Neve have not really gotten a strong position for themselves in any direction. They're still a player down. They haven't taken much damage across the board otherwise, but it's a little bit different for Windstorm. They have 2 players that haven't tagged just a wee bit, but it's not really a huge deal for them. Can still turtle up and get the job done. And a commando when they hand up Twist will be the weapon that actually gets the kill onto Taco. I love the commando, Chief. It's one of my favorite weapons in this game. It allows me to say he takes command of this round if they pop off really strong, but it's going to get them the first. It's going to be the 416C of Mizio who finds the second, almost TKing in the process. That's Fleeg, but it'll be the Toxic Babe to get the job done. Back-to-back flawlesses may be what we see. Puki's looking to bring his team maybe back into this one, but Mizio is going to unfortunately miss too much of their shots. Puki will find themselves that kill and pull it to 5-7. Not going to happen. It's Prim to find themselves the last. It'll be a substantially strong defensive win now for Windstorm.
That one was made off the drones. There is just never a reality where you're an attacker and 60% of your drones is lost in the first minute. I mean, that's just unacceptable. And especially if the whole strategy for Windstorm is to shoot those drones with those Mozzie pests in play, you have to be very aware of that as an attacker and say, all right, guys, we just need to slow down our offense a little bit more. Let's leverage Iana. Let's have her be our primary source of gathering information. Then we can have Zofia Fleek be able to follow it up right away. So you're still gathering map control. You're still gathering real-time information. It's just going to be a slower process of doing so, but you're not sacrificing utility. And that's the critical thing. It is a give and take. Do you give your drones or do you give a little bit of time? What's worse in the end? And in that particular scenario, I would give up just a bit of time because most rosters and a V have map control in the first 90 seconds. But when you start to gather information on the actual bomb site during an execute and you just don't have drones to be able to do so, it changes your entire philosophy of play because you just have to face check defenders who are bunkered down.
On the defense, when you still know, because we're saying this again here, Chief, and you mentioned it earlier, I don't see Flores that often on the attack for Oregon, but I do agree that he can be extremely strong for dealing with these shields, which have definitely been a big annoyance, both for Windstorm's attack, facing off against Neve, for that trophy hold, and also for the side of Neve's attack, as they completely took control of trophy, then were able to rush through site. They had a couple White Stairs players. Both sides are needing to be very wary of shields, right? And that's going to be a continuous circumstance. The stronger shields get, all the way up until they finally change and rework and get that rework out for those Vulcan shields, so they're no longer just that shield. But until then, I do think that we need to see a Flores. I think that'd be a strong decision for them. Still rocking the double hard breach. They could take control of this attic side. And that was something that Windstorm only implemented once in their attack for the third floor. It worked out for them, but they didn't necessarily use that attic play, that attic rush to win them the round. It was done elsewhere. It was done through trophy. It was done through white stairs like we saw prior. And that's kind of been the name of the game here. It's been white stairs rotate through that hall, take control of the situation, get the crossfire set up towards the site, and not allow for the defensive presence to turtle up and hold in behind that bunk bed and hold in inside kids' room. And from right now, from what we're seeing from Neve, they're not actually making the rotation just yet. They have some hover near Z, but not actually pushing as of the moment.
Is that Goyo change even still taking place? And if you're not familiar with that change is, you see that little explosive pack on the back of the deployable shield? Well, the deployable shield's going to be taken away, and it's just going to be that firebox. So it's essentially a preset Shamika launcher fire grenade explosive, and it's going to be designed to deny door frames, I guess, or entry points. Taco run! Whew, that was very close. Because going back to that point, though, Scott, utility consumption simulator isn't a problem. The reason why we saw that change be attempted by the devs, because the defense just had so much utility. It would change the game and maybe render Goyo useless, because in ranked play, Goyo receives no love. The FO12 needs more love, though, because that thing is a menace to society. Gunny will find one, and there are still more members of the offense in range of that lethal shotgun.
The 2v5, though, Neve have been unfortunately completely fizzled out in their attempted attack. It's just Kana to find one, and in all honesty, it's just Gunny attempting to push you off with the FO12, and they're going to have to F off, because they're going to be quickly taken care of. But it doesn't seem to matter. Twist is going to be the last one to find themselves a kill. It's the Vector, who really would have expected anything else at that point in time. It'll be a Windstorm defensive hold. They're going to be able to separate a little bit further. It's round 10 to be up and coming. Windstorm are one round away from a match point situation, but they have been a bit of a sleeping horse, like we talked about. They have put together a attack and defense that was a little bit unexpected from us. We almost wanted to predict that it would be a blowout, maybe a 7-1, 7-2. It has been nothing but Neve have been keeping themselves alive.
I'm extremely impressed, Neve, because we have seen them in the past with qualifying teams, and to be blunt, they did not qualify for mini leagues. And whatever they've done, if it's been practice, if it's been scrims, if it's been dry runs, they have done a wonderful thing. That program has been fully changed, and the new Neve roster is something that deserves your absolute respect, because they're playing very well. Just a reminder, Windstorm has professional players, or former professional players, on the roster. 2 Canadian Pro League players and a Challenger League player. So there is a lot of experience, and that is just something that you cannot write off. So the fact that a team that we knew nothing about is finding 4 rounds against a roster of this quality, that is incredible. And Neve is showing that they truly deserve to be here at Unified Premier.
Especially when you're talking about how strong of a team Windstorm truly is. I mean, we cannot understate the value of their team for how many competitions and high levels of play their players have been through, right? I mean, the fact that they're able to bring it this close of a game is nothing short of spectacular. But we're going to be heading back to the meeting hall hold. We talked about this previously. It's been have a bit of a resurgence. A lot of teams kind of preferring this one. Windstorm, though, they prefer the basement and that second floor hold a little bit more. But now they're going to have to defend this tertiary objective, so to say. Not opting for the dining room hold, but they're still going to have a second floor presence. 2 players currently holding. Maybe a third will rotate through, but I doubt it's going to occur. But Pukey finds a very early kill. That's going to go on towards Phoenix, who I believe was actually holding towards attic side. He stepped up through game's window, found the long shot kill. Now for Windstorm, only have 1 player holding anywhere near that second floor. It's Missio, and they're into a bad engagement early with Pukey, who already found the first pick. Would be a dangerous spot to be very wary of, but Windstorm are a player down. Need to get their hopes back in this one.
I just can't believe that Pukey found that kill. That is the most dangerous rappel, because Pukey rappelled flat against the window, actually on the windowsill itself, instead of on the other sides of the building where it's safe, where you won't get shot at. I mean, that was a dangerous play, and, well, able to find that opening kill on the top frag. Look at these crossfires and the pressure. It's actually a swing for the Neve players. They're just going into the bomb site. There's a the LMGE was above, but actually the bottom side is upstairs. So that's why we saw that aggressive pressure. It's going to be still that pressure of dining room. Now, this is why I don't like dining room. It's because look how fast the attackers have that control.
That's good to realize there's no reinforcements set up in small tower. They don't have any defensive presence over there. There's no one in showers. You're overgeneralizing the situation, Chief. How rude. Don't do my objective like that. Unfortunately, though, Neve's attempted attack has started to flutter out a little bit as 2 kills will drop quite quickly for Windstorm, but Fleek's able to bring them back into it. Peak is going to be down but not out. Picked back up now, and they'll have all 3 ready to contend to actually push forward. Prim's looking to peek from the side of meeting, going through soft wall leading over towards kitchen, getting a sight line towards security door. Neve's doing a smart job of just gathering the information necessary before deciding to really start to push forward. Fleek's gonna probably head towards Meeting Hall's main entrance first, maybe through security doorway. PP's looking to peek forward. An attempted plant was going down, but Fleek will just find the kill before any chance of it to contend. It's that long shot angle. They held that for really long, attempted to push through kitchen. That ultimately was their undoing. It'll be around 11 if he tying it up once again. It's 5-5.
I will say I do have a pet peeve with the Windstorm defense. The fact that they're bringing out those darn proximity alarms. I hate that gadgetry. I mean, if you read the dev blog where those prox alarms were introduced, they said it was targeted for low-level casual and ranked players. Why? Because they don't really have a place in high-level competitive. I mean, half the time they sound like a microwave dinging that your pizza rolls are done, and they just get lost in the sounds of Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, very rarely do you have a gadget that gives you that level of audio cue because it has a pitch very similar to what you would hear in the background, and that there's a rifle firing like the LMGE the entire time holding mouse 1, the prox alarms will just be muted over that weapon. And I just don't want teams to be relying on a small pocket gadget to be watching their flank. I would rather have barbed wire. I'd rather have the DJ devices of a Lucy, the Banshees, something a little bit more active, because a bulletproof on Castle will provide more real-time information than a prox alarm ever. An impact grenade will provide dividends if you're going for tricks or if you need late round rotations or something on those lines. By tricks, I mean destroying hard breach gadget on the other side of a wall.
That tricks are for kids.
6 out of 10.
That was actually a good response. That was a great way to just deny my joke in its entirety. that was a good comeback. I appreciate that. The boomer can come up with something every once in a while. We'll give props to that.
My brain works every so often.
Yeah, every once in a while.
I'm not senile yet.
The hamster starts to run through his unfortunate kid.
It needs the walker to run.
The hamster's old too?
Well, I mean, if your body's old, wouldn't your brain be old?
I mean, you know, possibly. Unless you're like, feeding your brain nothing.
What am I, Gola?
Oh my goodness.
That's a reference you and I only just got there.
Dude, everyone's gonna be so confused. They're just gonna be sitting here like, what? Twist? Okay.
Twist
Taco finds a Taco finds a long shot kill, getting one through a wall, but Phoenix is there to go for the refrag. Chief, everything's falling apart here, not just for both sides, but the cast as well, as we fully lost momentum with these dumb jokes.
Well, Twist is felled, and that was a dangerous peek, and also a very common pre-fight. The attackers always either want to open up that angle, or there is a camera set up in meeting room. Honestly, just off top of my head, I know of 5 different safe spots to place a camera in meeting room. 3 of them are on the east side of the map, one elevated, 1 on the ground, and 1 in that bookshelf, and then 2 to the west, sandbags, and by the benches are the 5 that I can think of right now. And, I mean, it's death trap to be in meeting room, especially with a roster that knows how to counterflank that. But Windstorm, man disadvantage, and Phoenix on low HP. Scott, this round is not looking good. They're going to have to make a play at some point, because no nitro cells. It's really going to be on the information of the Echo drones.
And the information is very important. You can't really play R6 without having the information behind it. The looks of things that we have an option to peek in through E-Box, but Nessio's real close. Already low HP though, so he can kind of be that pivotal bait to decide what to do. going to be Piki who steps up there to go for the plant. Missio's going to swing on him, find the opportunity. He's going to go for the yokai, though. He does get a stun off, but it's going to be removed quite quickly. Not sure why you're wasting that. Just laid into it when you could have just kept it alive to play for a little bit longer. A 3v3, Phoenix quite low. That's going to be tossing flashes. The second one, though, unfortunately hits a wall. Will blind and flash themselves in the process, buying the other team about 3 or 4 seconds. Now you're stuck in a bad spot once again. Long shot needs to be held. Phoenix has a crossfire, but Lunar is there instead. Neve now going for the plant, and Kana is able to get themselves situated. It's just one player left standing. Gunny, he'll gun down Kana. A 2v1. Pulls out the shotty in hand, tries to get the shot off, but Fleek is there. Neve look down the barrel of match point. They may be upsetting the huge pivotal figure of Windstorm.
The superstar roster is not on match point. In fact, they have match point against them. Neve, the roster out of nowhere. The Cinderella story already in week number 1. Oh boy, Windstorm. It is not looking good. They're electing the basement once again. And I mentioned that Windstorm on their offense, they looked better on their gunfights. It was just coming down to firefights, and they were able to win it. That's why we saw the 3-3 half. But Scott, has Oregon gone attacker sided in this series? Yes, or at least neutral sided. Now, I don't think in general, it just seems to be defenders are making these just aggressive plays. Look at the way Windstorm was playing, with Twist getting slammed over in meeting room, more members of Windstorm attempting to take those gunfights to the north stairs. It was just aggression. And I think Windstorm, if they end up dropping week number 1, they need to be just more disciplined, because we were talking about this being just a fast match where Windstorm 7-0s and just goes home early. And that is not the case. And I don't know if it's just the discipline of Windstorm, if it's the fact that they're just a new roster where they've had very little time to scrim. They have brand new support staff. Autumn just joined the roster a few days ago. So it's probably been difficult to have the team up at 110% efficiency. And, you know, maybe we're going to see that change entering next week once they've actually started to do more of their homework.
Imagine if Neve, a team, a roster that's been struggling so far, how much more can they put forward after coming into this in week 1, Chief? Week 1 of this all and playing like this, right? What more can we expect from them? Because this isn't their peak. This is not going to be their peak. They have nothing but up to go from here. They could go down, I guess, if they don't do any practice and just say, hey, we beat Windstorm, what else is there to do? They really only have up to go from. And it's going to be a scary roster to contend with. They've had a lot of really strong strategy. They've been able to catch Windstorm off guard in a completely strong affair for them, but this round here, the match point round, it's going to start off on a bit of a weak foot. It's going to be taken out. There's a long shot holders. One player towards Garage was waiting for them to try and step up the rear stage, and instead will try and wait for the right opportunity, prime time, so to say, find that kill. Who's going to make the runaway, stepping away from Greenhall back towards Kitchen, doing nothing but gather the information necessary, and we're finally seeing a blue bunker, maybe attempted push here from Pukey, who has been pivotal in a lot of these clutches in the rounds, and also the first kills for Neve so far in this matchup.
I would describe the Rogue Conference where we're currently at today to be the group of death, because you have Windstorm, you have Surf, you have Overture, you have Oblivion. I mean, those 4 teams alone have so much competitive experience, and you start to look at a team like Emergence that has been in the scene for a very long time. Neve has been in that similar boat as well. I mean, if Neve comes out swinging today, I don't think any rosters in the future are just going to say, all right, Neve is not a threat. They're going to take the threat very serious. And Windstorm, they found kills, and they're going to continue to find kills. Overtime might be guaranteed at this point. Well, not guaranteed, but it's starting to lean that direction. If he could bring it back, though, the way that they've been playing, I wouldn't say anything is guaranteed.
Hey, don't. It's the heart of the cards, Chief. Don't count them out. Count them before you're out. Fleek's gonna maybe make you wish you didn't say those words. Twist gonna be taken out. A very important player for them. No longer the Roni in his hands to try and contend. And We saw this previously from Neve. Windstorm in a bad situation, needing to defend. They don't have any more yokais to work with either, but still, Toxic Babes are able to be tossed. It's going to buy them enough time. Neve needs to get a crossfire set up to deny any possibility, and Pukey's on very low HP, and a Nitro will take out Fleek from Phoenix. Make that a second one for Phoenix as he takes out Pukey. It's just Lunar, left standing, all alone. Feels like a man on the moon. He'll find one, but it's Gunny holding close with the Mossberg to clean things up. We're heading to 0-2 here, Chief. You will see Windstorm clutch it up in due fashion to give themselves a 6-6 scoreline.
With the Road Conference being the group of death, round differential will matter. We saw Coastal play yesterday against Ara, and Coastal won that 7-1. That was a very important game for Coastal because, again, there are great teams in both conferences of Unified Premier, and we have seen in the past 3 different seasons of Unified Premier, a roster go home because of round differential. And we just don't want to see that happen. So winning rounds actually matters. It's not just if you win the week, you have to win with round differential as well. But now both our rosters, they're going to find themselves on a lower round differential because we're going into overtime. Now, with the overtime system here in Unified Premier, it is up to round 15, so it's going to be the 3-round overtime where one roster is going to have 2 defending stints. Fortunately, if you're a fan of Windstorm, the roster with 2 defending stints is going to be Windstorm, so it's going to be round 13 and round 15. So Neve really has to make impact here on round 13 on attack, then transition that perfectly to the defending stint if they want to conclude in round 14.
The setup, we're heading back up to the second floor, and with Windstorm being on the defense once again, Neve is kind of having an advantage towards themselves, you guess you could say, as they've been on the attack for a while. They've kind of dealt with Windstorm's defense. We can say the same thing for Windstorm in return. I don't know, anyone's game. Really and truly, the fact that we're even at this point in time, Chief, feels like a miracle for one side or the other. For a while there, it looked like Neve was just going to swing forward and win the half, but then we also just anticipated Windstorm would win the map in the first place. We are in the darkest timeline, so to say here, Chief. Things are quite strange indeed. Twist looking for a very early peek as he's wanting to peek towards small tower door. In a bad spot, but really working for him nonetheless. It's Phoenix and Twist both looking for an option for that early kill, and Neve are not giving it to him. Trying to play this one as slow as possible, gathering information at every single corner.
It's so dark, it must be Lado's universe at this point, controlling everything that we do. Well, that's what Neve needs to do. They need to control everything on their offense. They have to gather information, they have to go for their push, and look at the push that they're going for. It is a big window take. Scott, when was the last time that you saw a big window only execute?
I don't think I've ever seen big window only execute, I'll be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Ever.
They happen every so often. They're very difficult to do. They tend to be much more rush-oriented, where you're bringing out somebody that opens a big window fast, and then you're just Candela dumping. And there is a caveat to this style of play, and every so often defenders will just say, hey, all the attackers are pushing to the west. It's big window, small tower, execute on dorms. Why don't we just rotate our defenders on over? And if you're smart enough on the offense, you could be able to find some opening kills and be able to make cutoffs and deny access to the map as those defenders get aggressive.
With only 1 minute and 15 remaining, Chief, it's really going to be up to Windstorm to find out something that's going to work, but Taco is not going to make it easy for him. He'll find another kill, denying any chance to rotate away from your White Stairs holds. Gunny's looking for an option as well through Attic, but it doesn't seem to be that Neve are actually looking to push in that direction. They're all holding in towards this Z Hall. Missio is holding close near lobby. He's going to now step towards Z itself. A bit of a dangerous chokehold for them. Could be used against them in the process, but also have to be very worried about this big window like we've talked about previously. They're really wanting to dedicate themselves to it. Toxic Babes will be tossed. He's a little bit early, but he still has one in the pocket. Missio now needs to make the rotation over from Armory side from that hall with that castle barricade in the way. And there's only 30 seconds left for the side of Neve to step forward. Second Toxic Babe has been tossed, probably even dissipated at this point. You can hear that proximity alarm go off, but Fleeks in the rappel. Sitting outside kids' room, farmland side. Never knew it was called that way, but Missio will find themselves that kill towards the end stage, but caught up in White steps as they're quickly on the refrag. Dangerous damage. Now going through to the offense. Gunny was holding from game room side, but Kana just runs in and melee, slap on the cheeks. And now Lunar will begin the plant. Bad spot now for Phoenix. He'll tap Kana's head. He's in a bad position still, though. Shield will be popped. Lunar will be felled from the fire damage, and it's just one player left standing. It's Fleek, who was on the outside repel of kids. He's gonna have to drop towards big window. Phoenix will go ahead and get the kill. He's going to hop on the defuse. Does he stick it? No, he hops off of it, and the damage continues to be unfolded. Fleet can just spray and pray with the LMGE. And Phoenix is going to have to decide how he wants to play this one. And Fleet is not giving him any angles, holding this one slow, playing this one close to the chest. And Phoenix is in a dire position. Has to start deciding to push. Pushes the other direction, and Fleek, entirely aware of it, finds himself the kill and finds Neve themselves a round win. Now they get to try their hand on the defense. Side they tied it up at half in that 3-3 margin.
We mentioned that Windstorm had to win round 13 because now Neve goes over to defense. It was the atypical big window execute, and it wasn't the reason why Neve wins that round. Reason why they win was Windstorm played too aggressive. They wanted to pressure small tower, and that's the big difference between a big window successful defense, successful hold, and a loss. If you push small tower and you do not make impact on that push, the offense gets free kills. That defending hold a big window is very difficult to do. You've lost your crossfires. You can no longer really effectively challenge big window, and we saw Windstorm crumble underneath that. This is not looking good for Windstorm. Again, Windstorm was the favorites entering into this series, and once again, they have a round against them. It's all on Neve. If they want to conclude this in round 14, they cannot feel the pressure. They need to perform at their best, however. And Fleet, the substitute, has been doing exactly that. 9 kills to their name, and their best bomb site, most influential bomb site, is upstairs in dorms.
Well, we saw this one panned out for Windstorm's defense. Yeah, there could be some more variables for Neve, but at the current moment, they get to be on the more advantageous side, some would say. They get to try their hand at the defense, and Chief, this could be the last round, could be all she wrote, but there's still going to be a couple variables in play for Windstorm's attack. First and foremost, they brought that double hard breach, something that we saw Neve not necessarily contend with initially. Windstorm, when they first attempted their attack, they lost round 1 because of only bringing the prim on the hard breach, and they learned it about 2 to 3 rounds in that if they brought double, they had a much better chance to make the return and win in a couple rounds. But Neve eventually started to counteract that strategy as well, and it's the game of adaptability. It's been that way the entire time. These teams are adapting, they're evolving, and they're keeping the opposition on their toes. And it's been the most important factor. A nade will have to be tossed from Phoenix, and ADS, though, in the way. A real teammate to assist to move that ADS instead, and Windstorm are going to be in a bad spot, as they'll more than likely have to burn through one of their nades. They'll toss it the other direction, though, get rid of the Goyo shield. That's really the only thing they're able to do with it so far. It does force Kana into a bit more of a dangerous spot. Gunny wins the first gunfight.
I think Windstorm is just scratching their head as the Kyro pellets got denied from a bandit trick. You know, we are joking about your duos, operator selection, and what is best, what is worse, and Fellow said that D tier is bandit because you just don't ever get to bandit trick. Looter says, I am bandit tricking today. Now, it was impactful, but Gunny is going to be more impactful. Now, 2 kills to the name this round, and the defense has now decided they want to struggle upstairs in dorms. It's going to be very difficult to be able to hold this bomb site. There is some utility that the defense could leverage, but it's not all that much. 1 toxic remains as well as 1 nitro.
1 minute does remain. Windstorm, the better spot. We've got the player advantage and continue to pound the herd. Only 2 players left for Neve. Lunar will be taken with a quick headshot from Phoenix. Puki's going to make the rotation to a different side. Kana's trapped on the first floor, though. Needs to make their way through Z-Hall. Puki's now forced to hold this one basically all alone. He's going to get aggressive when it comes to peeking big window because he knows the variables in play. He'll find a shot to twist, though. Getting a little bit too aggressive. Not watching towards Storm's side. Phoenix, quick on the refract. Does take him out. That's only one player left standing. Connor trapped towards white stairs. He'll spray through the floorboards, hoping and praying, but unfortunately, praying is not going to stop Prim from finding that plant. It's going to be a bit more of a dangerous spot for them, continuing as Prim's holding all the way outside through big window. They don't need to worry too much when it comes to denying this one as aggressively as we've seen in multiple rounds prior. Instead, it's just one person. Keep them at bay. And you can hear it go off in the background, an air jab being thrown out this late in the stage. Kana is more than likely not going to see the end of this round, and if they do, it's still going to be a round loss for them. It's just too much to contend with, Chief, and too little time to do so.
This is an opportunity to have a Neve timeout, talk amongst yourselves, and prep for the next round. So far, it has been an equal win rate of bomb sites. 50% on the first half, 50% on the second half. So going into overtime, that stat is going to continue once again, or be just slightly skewed to the offense, as Dorms was won by both teams on the attack. So with that in mind, Scott, who do you think has the advantage? Windstorm on the defense or Neve on offense?
I don't know. This game has been so back and forth, Chief. I literally can't give a strong enough answer to which side, right? I can't give an answer to which one's going to win. This is a little bit too strong. Neve has been spectacular when it came to their offense. That was where I typically saw them find their greatest success, but Windstorm also popped off on their defense. We saw a flawless round and then a back and forth flawless round, one from both sides that was back and forth. We've seen them be able to do so, but it's still just been this breakneck even game. How else can you explain an even half and then an even second half to go to OT and then now an even OT to this last round? Someone has to take it, and I can only give a slight nod to Neve here, maybe, because it's back to the second floor objective, which they had just previously won on. But even then, Windstorm just won on this as well in the attack. They know what they need to do to defend it. Maybe they're hoping it's just a fluke. I don't know. It's really and truly too much of a toss-up. If Neve pull this off, it's a massive upset. And no matter what happens, Windstorm have a lot of things they're going to need to work on going forward if they're bringing themselves into an OT position like this with the game on the line.
Well, you want something to save the day. Twist is going to bring out the Frost. If Frost gets a DBNO and it's an impactful down but not out, man, I'm going to lose it. I mean, Frost is an operator that actually has some viability in competitive because she brings a deployable shield, and how often are high-level comp players looking at the floor? I mean, you've been trained for a million years to aim at head level, and a gadget that's literally on the floor breaks all muscle memory. I mean, especially if you're warming up playing like CSGO to get like aim training headshots in, and all of a sudden you're now taking gadgetry from underneath. I mean, it changes your mental philosophy altogether. I love the play from Windstorm. Their expansion into Coat, not the first time that we've seen it today, but it is an iteration where we're seeing no longer an FO12, but it's going to be Jaeger 416 in that spot.
Maybe they're hoping that the long-range fire will force them to be a bit more scared, force them to take a step back into Master Bedroom where that frost mat was, but they spotted that out pretty quickly. They shot it out. Not going to be left standing in Neve. Gathering control of the situation. A cheeky crossfire set up for Twist from Master Bedroom's side. Neve didn't have themselves set up to defend that. Taco was not watching door at the moment that repel came through into Armory. It's a bit of a miscommunication, in my opinion, from between those two sides, but you know, it'll be not miscommunicated. Taco finding the kill. Show up quite clean in the kill feed. And it's going to be a 5v4. There's only a minute and 20 seconds left, Chief, and the game quite literally on the line, and they've lost control of Trophy. Now make that lost control of Attic. So once again, Taco finds another kill.
The new superstar roster dethroned. It's now the era of Neve. Gunny does not want to see this get dropped, and I don't blame him. Windstorm is going to fight like demons, caged animals, where they have nothing to lose other than this round, and they do not want to drop it. It's going to be the Mizio Protectiva is what this round is going to be classified as, because Windstorm, close quarters, aggressive positions. I mean, Gunny, shotgun, and closet. Gunny's a dead man at this point, Scott, but he's going to stand his ground and die in this spot. No more pardon me, 2 more toxic gas grenades. That's going to be 20 seconds of time denial, and there's only 30 on the clock.
There's not much time to work with. It's a bad position. Gunny will find one, which is about all you can ask for, and he'll actually step aggressively in to walk in. Bad spot. Very bad spot to be in. You gotta remove him, but these toxic babes, there's only 13 seconds left. Windstorm may just be able to buy out time. Unfortunately, Fleek's in a bad spot. He's gonna choke on some gas. Taco steps up to find Prim. A flank from the other side by Kana will take him out. Will they be able to get it in time? Missio's just sitting on site. They have to rush him down. Do they have the time? It does not matter, though. He's gonna find 2. One of them just down. They're starting to plant. Kana's there. He'll turn around the corner. Missio with the sickest clutch of probably his entire time saves Windstorm in the most miraculous way. Everything surmounting up to the last few moments, and Windstorm find themselves a victory in an absolute showcase going all the way through. Excuse my French here, Chief, but a barn burner, so to say. An OT victory against a side no one expected to last this far.
I'm allowing the barn burner to come forward, Scott, because that was absolute. That's what you use barn burner. The reason why I hate the words overused. That's a perfect example. I did call it the Mizio Protectiva, and it seems to be exactly that. I mean, he protects the bomb 1v3 and saves the day. What a beautiful game, honestly. I was expecting a 7-0. I was expecting a 7-0. That was beautiful. It went the distance. Round 15, I could not have told you it would have gone this distance. That was incredible.
Yeah, definitely don't start gambling, because we would not have won anything at all whatsoever. That would have been a bad bet. Neve, you came out of nowhere. You have not had much successes in qualifiers and things of the sort. As per Chief said, I actually don't know you guys. Now I will. I'm going to keep you guys in the heart, close to the chest. You guys came out. You got everything. You did everything possible, and you brought Windstorm to an OT position where the only reason you lost that last round is because you lost control of the diffuser and were forced into a bad post-plant situation. Honestly, it's a miracle they even got the diffuser planting in time to go for it. It was an insane position nonetheless, and then it's just one player, Missio, who pops off to find 2, and then now you're just stuck sitting in the middle of games room, forced to sit there on your lunchbox and figure out what you want to eat for the rest of the round, because it's going to be the last round you're in. And that's exactly how it turned out.
What a hype game. Scott, it's been a pleasure, and I have bad news. You're stuck with me for the next 6 weeks here in this Tuesday spot. But ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We're going to have another match, but that's going to be tomorrow. Until then, stay safe and well, my friends. Back with you tomorrow.
I noticed I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor.